Travelers from Providence to Woonsocket or through the state to Massachusetts are going to be breathing a sigh of relief today as we start to transform this corridor into a safe, smooth roadway. This groundbreaking also officially kicks off the 2022 construction season, which is going to be a real whopper this year. With the infusion of, thanks to our wonderful congressional delegation, with the infusion of the Infrastructure Investment and Jobs Act that came last November, we've been able to accelerate 100 projects in our 10-year plan, and this season there will be $1.8 billion worth of construction being conducted here throughout Rhode Island in investments in new infrastructure and new transportation systems. The governor has asked us, with this new infusion of money, to make paving our highways a priority, one of the top priorities. And it's one of the reasons that we chose this particular project to hold a kickoff this year, 146. This year, we're going to be investing throughout the state $92 million in new road surfaces in paving. All of those potholes that you will hear about and report about during the winter, we're going to begin to fix them permanently. Over the next 5 years, we'll be investing, or the governor has asked us to invest more than $400 million over the next 5 years in paving. Before I tell you about this project, I really want to acknowledge and thank some of the people here today. Governor McKee, during the last 2 years, has really become a champion for the work that we do at DOT in improving our infrastructure and creating the jobs that come with it. And I certainly thank him for putting his shoulder into getting us the state share of funding that we need in order to do the work we do with the federal funds that we get. Senator Reid, Senator Whitehouse, Congressman Cicilline, and although he's not here today, Congressman Langevin, our congressional delegation is lifting way above their weight class. They have put their shoulder into infrastructure funding here in the state of Rhode Island in an unprecedented way, not only in their sponsorship of legislation and their leadership in the creation of things like the infra grant program and other federal funding programs. But also, over and above that, there's a whole world of competitive grant, like this project, that's funded by not only the normal and customary federal and state funds, but a competitive grant that was awarded through the state because of the activism of our congressional delegation for $65 million, one of the biggest grants we ever got for highway construction. And that comes with a lot of work and a lot of effort, and I couldn't be more pleased with working with this congressional delegation. Federal Highway Administrator, Carlos Machado. You know, when states and federal agencies need to work together to get a lot of projects done, there could be chaos and conflict. But I have enjoyed during the last 7 years the best relationship and a true partnership with our federal partners in the Federal Highway Administration, who have been working with us here in the state to make sure that things are built right, are built according to their federal regulatory structure, and there are tight controls both on finance and the final product. And I couldn't have asked for a better partner than Administrator Machado during the last several years. Union President Mike Sabatoni. Geez, you know, these projects don't get built. Everybody puts their back into getting the funding for this, but the membership of the Rhode Island Building Trades and the membership of the Laborers International Union of North America actually put their backs to work making this kind of project happen. And I couldn't be more pleased with the association and the partnership that we have with labor through all of the projects that we're doing. Senator Dela Cruz and Rep. Newberry, well, you've been asking for this for a long time, and you have been champions and advocates in your local districts to get 146 fixed, and we're doing it. And we thank you for your endorsement of the project here today, and for putting your shoulder into providing us with through the legislature, the necessary state funding we need. That's so vital to get projects like this done. We're so pleased that you're here today to join us, because we know that you've been great champions locally for this project. I also want to take a moment now to introduce the team that we selected to actually build this project. The contracting team of Skanska and Lynch. Through the RFP process, it was a very complicated process. It was a 9-month-long process where we had a staff of 9 people reviewing various proposals for the alternative design and build proposals that these companies, that the competitors for this project submitted. I will say that it was a complicating and challenging kind of proposal process because of the numerous issues that exist: safety issues, traffic issues, structural deficiency issues along this entire corridor. But the Skanska-Lynch team provided us both an innovative and imaginative solutions to all of these problems, and they did it in a way, and they put a proposal together that will accomplish this and get it done sooner than we had originally anticipated doing it. Here with us today is Paul Bedini, their Senior Vice President of Skanska, Bob Pine, Vice President of Operations, Stephen Del Grasso, Project Executive, and from the J.H. Lynch Company, we have Steve Lynch, President, David Lynch, Vice President, and Greg Lynch, Vice President. They now, along with the partners we have at the state and local level, and federal level up here in front of you, they will become our partners on this job. And we very much look forward and excited to seeing them bring to life the design, imaginative design that they have proposed to present to us. As an engineer, I always want to cover some of the technical issues and details about the project with you. On this corridor, 146, we've had 85 crashes every year, many of them centered around this area that we're in right now. The Sales Hill Road and 146 intersection has been a perennial dangerous safety issue for this roadway. We're going to fix that. This project is going to fix that intersection. We're going to build a flyover at this intersection that will safely carry 146 traffic over the Sales Hill Road intersection and will eliminate many, if not all, of those crashes that take place here every year. It'll also eliminate the traffic signal that exists here and provide a safe and easy access to all of the businesses. In fact, the proposal that the Skanska-Lynch team presented presents a design that will leave this intersection operable so that the adjacent businesses like the Nissan dealership here and the other businesses here will still have complete access for their clients and customers without interruption while a brand new overpass is going to be built. Very imaginative solution to a tough problem. The team did it. We're looking forward to that. The corridor itself has 171,000 vehicles traveling on this road every day, and paving it's a priority. I know. I get a lot of the calls, some of them on the Thursday mornings that I go out and talk to the public on. And many of them came from people on this corridor, the potholes, the rough shape of the road. Well, you're going to begin to see the improvements to that through the urging of the governor. He wanted us to upfront and do paving improvements along this corridor as an initial stage to this project. And we're going to be very happy and pleased, and I'm sure the residents in the northwest and northeast part of our state are going to be pleased with the improvements they see in pavement in this area. Our contractors also came up with an innovative way to rebuild the interchange on 146 and 146A that'll remove a dangerous U-turn that has existed for decades and replace it with a diverging diamond interchange, a new kind of innovative solution to routing traffic in a safe, measured way and a very efficient way. Transit riders. This isn't just a highway project, but we have begun to develop new ways to look at our highway transportation system to see if we can rebuild them in a way that also affords a better transit system here in Rhode Island. And one of the first transit-only lanes will be built, and part of this project that will get buses between Providence and North Providence in a much more efficient way. So many of the people that are tied up in their cars in a traffic jam every day will see the movement of transit happening very rapidly as they sit in traffic, go by them, and hopefully will encourage some of them to begin to think of transit as an alternative to using their vehicles. And we're excited about that. It's a new kind of direction for us at DOT, and we'll be keeping a close eye on it. And hopefully that will not only improve and increase the ridership in our transit, but also begin to have a very positive effect on climate change and carbon emissions here in the state as people make the switch over from one mode to the other. In fact, the congestion that happens here at this intersection every day will be eliminated. And the efficiencies that we're introducing between that and the transit corridor that we're creating should reduce about 6,000 tons a year of carbon emissions into so environmentally, the project is going to have a very positive effect. Those are just some of the highlights, and I'm going to leave some more of the details and certainly the contributions that each of the speakers that follow me will make to you. It's a massive project, but making it a reality takes the leadership at the top of our state by the governor to provide us with the vital state match to the federal grants that we get. And the governor's really put his shoulder this year into getting us the additional money and budget for these transportation projects this year that will put, as I said, $1.8 billion, an unprecedented investment in our infrastructure here in the state. And I couldn't be more pleased than to introduce the governor of the state of Rhode Island.
Thank you, Peter. And yeah, big day for our Department of Transportation, and your leadership has brought us to this point. So thank you for that, but we don't get here without our delegation, with Senator Reid, White House, David Cicilline, as along with Congressman Langevin, and I do continue to thank them for their leadership, not only over the course of time that they've represented us in Washington, but in particular over the last couple of years during the pandemic. And this is part of our recovery. This is part of our recovery. Investing in our infrastructure is investing in our economy. And this project here starts with a $196 million project along 146, using funding secured by the congressional delegation and the Department of Transportation. And I also would say, Peter, you're right. Matching the federal grants is a key to actually getting the money. And I, as a mayor, and I think Phil Gould is here, and I think maybe other administrators, we know that if we store up funds locally, we can access federal grants. So in our, in our budget this year, and surpluses are good, and we've managed a surplus, probably the largest surplus that the state has ever seen, at least in my lifetime. And $100 million we've allocated in the surplus to access over $400 million of federal transportation money that's going to help us accomplish the goals that Peter and his Department of Transportation has set out. So I know I travel 146. I live in Cumberland. I travel 146, and Northern Rhode Island is part of the state of Rhode Island. And we got to make sure that we connect all of our Rhode Island communities, but it also connecting into the broader network that we know that our economy is going to grow from Providence to Worcester, you know, up to Boston as well, with the train station that Peter is working on in Central Falls and Pawtucket. So I travel it every day. As Peter said, we know it's congested. I've experienced that personally. I'm looking forward to the improvements here. We do have small businesses on this road, Peter, so we got to make sure that we accommodate our small businesses to the largest degree that we can. But also, I would say to the business community and small businesses here that are going to end up benefiting from here, it's going to be worth the patience to get this work done. So the Rhode Island Department of Transportation Roadworks program is now in its 7th year, and I'm catching up to the pace. But I think we've caught up very quickly since I've been governor, and know how important this is. 230 projects like this, including work on more than 350 bridges. That work they've done is valued at $3.1 billion. For us to be a state that is considered a small business and business-friendly state, we know that infrastructure is one of those components. And we work every day right now to make sure that we are meeting the standards of those rankings and addressing the issues that we need to address so that Rhode Island is recognized for its efforts in the infrastructure, and then the benefit is the economy and the small business friendliness and the business friendliness. Roadworks creates jobs, and thank you, Mike, for your leadership and for the entire team of the labor that is doing the work here. Certainly I see David Lynch back there. I know David pretty well, and he's going to do a great job, right, David, on this project, on time, in budget. And we know it's good for economic development here. Again, I'd like to thank our partners in the federal delegation who helped secure a $65 million federal grant to allow DOT to address this project.